Ladies and gentlemen, we are live once again as Trump makes a historic announcement. This is going to be announced in the Roosevelt Room today. Notable to that is Roosevelt Room probably means there's going to be Q&A. Probably. There's been times where there haven't been Q&A, but that was specifically around like the Epstein mentions when he didn't do Q&A. So I think there's probably going to be Q&A. This announcement, he's going to be joined by Lee Zeldin, head of the EPA. Basically, they're announcing a rollback of federal EPA standards. Best stream for this, I would either use Associated Press YouTube stream or I'd use the Twitter White House stream. That's what I'm using. It's supposed to start at 1:30, but they put up the stream like 10 minutes early. So they might actually start this kind of early. I really don't have many positions for this right now. I mean, my main thing I'm on is I picked up no Supreme Court when this was at a good price. I got this when it was 52. It's now moved up to 65. Would I buy no at 65? Maybe, but definitely not as likely like as when I got this at 52. And then I did pick up a little bit of ICE, yes. ICE National Guard, yes. But I got it at 15 cents. I'm not going to add to this position. More so, I'm just saying like potentially things like that could come up in the Q&A if there is a Q&A. And I think, you know, when I see it at 15 cents, it's a pretty good price. Coming from someone who was like heavily on ICE no for a while on all these Trump speeches, I just think, you know, it's getting to the point where it's pretty cheap, and if there is Q&A, something could come at it. All right, yeah, I mean, if you got in no at 41 cents, like that's an even better price than me. I don't really know how it was that cheap. Supreme Court, like, I don't know. It seems like the prices for today's speech are moving very similar to yesterday because, right, he said Supreme Court yesterday. He said AI yesterday. I think that's causing prices to kind of like be a little weighted heavily to like yesterday's speech. Granted, it's like pretty similar, the topic. Yesterday was on, well, today's on the whole EPA thing. Yesterday was on coal, kind of similar with like, you know, being around energy, you know. But, you know, I don't know if I agree with like how high Supreme Court got. But I'm going to probably try to play some of these live, hopefully, too. Maybe we'll see some of these get really cheap. Interestingly, Trillion, you can see, is already priced at 95. If you look at the Associated Press stream, which is actually showing inside the room, they have two, like, presentations. One of them says explicitly, like, saving trillions. So, like, Trillion's probably a bond at this point. It literally is on the sheet. I mean, Trillion's almost always, like, pretty close to a bond, so... But like the fact they have it on their presentation material, that's why you can see Trillion jumped from literally like mid 80s to like 95. Because it literally says Trillion on their like prepared banners. See how delayed this is. What has been my biggest ROI on a bond market? You mean like when if I've bonded something in the past, how much have I made? I mean, the most I've ever made, quote unquote, bonding, like, was like, I think 8K. But I had 100K on something at 90.91. Lord Brinks, I kind of gave you the rundown of my thoughts on this, but like I'm never gonna like just give picks because it doesn't. Like, it's not about picks; it's about prices, right? So like I told you, for example, I entered Supreme Court no at 52 cents. It's not like I'm picking Supreme Court no. You know what I mean? Now it's priced at like 60. So all that matters is prices. So like if I were to tell you Supreme Court no, it doesn't make as much sense now because Supreme Court's at like 60. So I mean, I would try not to think about this in terms of like binary picks, yes, no, or whatever. You know, it's all dependent on price. What did I have 100K on? It's my biggest click ever, Tonka, like to date. And I would never normally click $100,000, but it was literally on like a determined outcome. Like I was so positive there was no chance of it going wrong. It wasn't even like a very highly likely outcome, but it was like a pretty much guaranteed outcome. And I think whoever was quoting it just messed up and was pricing it at like 91. And I was able to get 100K down, and yeah, I took it to the max, and it worked out. But obviously, I would never recommend using that much of your bankroll on something ever. But that was just like something, like I said, that was a very in the moment, available for a few seconds that I took. You like hottest here? Yeah, I mean, hottest is never terrible. I'm not gonna give exact details on what it was because it would give away a little edge on certain things that I kind of keep under wraps. It was not on a mention market, I'll say that. Short rundown of State of the Union market. We're still a little whiles away. I'll tell you if you DM me, Tonka, for sure. But how often am I taking versus making? You should try to always be a maker whenever you can. The reason is if you're a taker, A, you're going to get in at a theoretically worse price because you're buying at the top, right, of like the spread. And then B, you're going to pay fees. And fees are like anywhere from like 3 to 4%, depending on where you buy. So like you always want to be a maker when you can because then you don't pay fees. That's the TLDR. So I always try to be a maker. Sometimes I'll be a taker. Like if you look at like Supreme Court, when this was priced at like 60-40, or when this was priced at like 60 for yes, 40 for no, I just takered all of it because I just knew it was so mispriced that I knew it was going to move away from me if I tried to be a maker. I'm sorry, Lord Brinks. I know Tonka for a long time. That's why I would tell Tonka. I mean, look, it's not a, but yeah, what is taking versus making? If you're a taker, you're just market buying. So if you're market buying something, you're buying all the shares like at the currently offered price. That's being a taker. Being a maker, you put a limit order out. You're basically posting liquidity. Yeah, exactly to Tonka's point. Like, I'm not saying to never be a taker. There are times to be a taker for sure. But like, ideally, you want to always be a maker. Because think about it, right? Assuming everything is efficiently priced, if you're a taker, you're paying a 4% fee. So your EV is negative, right? Like, your expected value is theoretically negative if you're paying the fee. But if you're a maker, your EV is either neutral or it's positive, right? Because not only are you not paying a fee, but you're also getting in at the bottom of the spread. But obviously that's oversimplifying it. But here we go. Trump's coming out.
If you're into environment, this is about as big as it gets, they tell me.
Talking about environment.
It's an honor to be here with a terrific person who's worked so hard on this and some other terrific people. Thank you very much. But I'm pleased to be joined today by EPA Administrator
Lee Zeldin.
Lee Zeldin, who you all know, and to announce the single largest deregulatory action in American history. That's a big statement in American history. And I think we can add the words by far. Under the process just completed by the EPA, we are officially terminating the so-called endangerment finding, a disastrous Obama-era policy that severely damaged
already
the American auto industry.
Obama
and massively
era
drove up prices for
but
American consumers.
Yes, right?
Prices went up incredibly for a worse product. This action will eliminate over $1.3 trillion of regulatory costs and help bring
that's why this stuff
car
was
prices
bonded.
Tumbling down dramatically. You're going to get a better car. You're going to get a car that starts easier, a car that works better for a lot less money. In 2009, Barack Hussein Obama
already hit. Holy
designated
cow.
fossil fuels such as
oil. That had already hit in the weekly.
Gas, and other things that actually make factories rock and roll, and other things drive very nicely as a threat
Rock and roll.
to health and human welfare, known as the endangerment finding. This determination had no basis, in fact, had none whatsoever, and it had no basis in law. On the contrary, over the generations, fossil fuels have saved millions of lives and lifted billions of people out of poverty and all over the world. And you see it with the blackouts all over where they don't use it, where they went to wind.
Wind, there it is. Here
which
comes
is weak and
solar coming right after.
Ineffective and very, very
Or is
costly.
he going to skip
Most
over
costly
solar?
energy there is. And people are dying because there was no air conditioning or there was no heating. Lots of other things, bad things happened. And yet this radical rule became the legal foundation for the Green New Scam, one of the
Green New Scam, man. He's ready
greatest
today,
scams in
dude.
history, probably as great,
The
maybe
fee
even greater than
unpredicted.
Russia hoax, etc.
Oh, there's hoax.
Which the Obama and Biden administration
Holy.
used to destroy countless
Russia
jobs.
hoax. Thank
The jobs
God
have
I
been
wasn't
just
on no
decimated.
there. I was going to be on
Although
no.
they're all coming back because of tariffs. They're all coming
Tariff.
back into our country at
Wow.
levels we've never seen before.
This
But
is
it raised prices and caused immense harm to the U.S. auto industry. We thought irreparable, but we've got them back. We're coming back now. I was in Detroit, as you know, with Ford, and they had one of the earliest plants from the early 1900s, and it was going to be closed down. And then when I won, they said, let's keep it open for a little while. Let's see what happens. And they just announced, as you know, they're going 24 hours around the clock with that same plant.
My video
That
stream
was
is
going to be
buffering because I
closed.
fast forward the streams
because
to
of
get the
what we've
lowest
done.
latency. So
For
it's
example, under the endangerment finding, they forced the hated start-stop feature onto American consumers, which unnecessarily shuts off a car's engine when you stop at a red light. In other words, the engine goes off. That's great. The endangerment
Shit he's
finding
talking
was
about.
also used
He
to
really
oppose
hasn't
the
said
massive
emission?
and really very expensive electric vehicle mandate. Expensive in the sense that nobody wanted
there's
it.
electric. And this is going to be
Everybody was going to be
Elon.
forced to buy an electric car in a very short period of time, even though you can't power the car, because we would have had to spend $5 trillion on power stations. That's all dead, gone, over. These crippling restrictions were a major factor in driving up car prices to unprecedented
Skips over
levels.
Elon.
And the car that you were getting was not nearly as good. In 4 years under the Biden administration,
Biden?
the price of a new and used car rose more than 22%, all to facilitate the Green New Scam without achieving any meaningful impact on the environment, but making the car worse.
I'm sorry about the
That's why,
start-stop
effective
nonsense.
immediately, we are repealing the ridiculous endangerment finding and terminating all additional
Do you want
green
delayed streams?
emission
Is that what you
standards
want?
imposed unnecessarily on vehicle models and engines between 2012 and 2027 and beyond. This action will save American consumers trillions of dollars and will lower the average cost of a new vehicle
Oh.
by close to
Okay.
$3,000.
Thought I was
Think
getting
of that.
attacked again for my
During
stream
my
buffering.
campaign, I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every new regulation.
Man, Democrat
And
No
we've
is
exceeded
steaming
that.
yet
We've
to from like what was this like 90
instead done
10?
it. 10 regulations, we were able to cut 129, so now we cut 129. So think of that. I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every new one, but we did more than 10. We did 129. It's something, nobody can even believe it. So we did a lot of regulation cutting in the first administration, a record. Nobody even close to it now.
A
We're
record.
actually exceeding it in this administration. The biggest one yet that we've done
Wow,
is
yeah, it's getting so
happening
cheap.
right now. So perhaps no industry has benefited more from our historic deregulation campaign than the U.S. auto industry. We canceled the EPA's absurd, just totally absurd, tailpipe
Absurd.
emission standards, which was a disaster for automobile manufacturing, and revoked Biden's emissions waiver that would have allowed California to regulate automobiles for the entire nation. And they're crazy out in California. They have nothing but trouble out there, as you know. That's why people are leaving in record numbers. I also ended Joe Biden's extreme CAFE emission standards,
Cafe.
saving the
Man,
average American
I was gonna be
consumer
on yes
much
here.
more than
Crazy, I didn't do
$1,000
it. I felt
when they buy
pretty
a
good
new
about
car.
it.
But now
Damn,
we're talking about close to $3,000.
very stupid of me not to go.
These
I
regulation
gotta take
cuts
more
combined
risks.
with our tax cuts and tariffs are the reason why the world's largest automakers have announced that they're going to be spending in excess
So
of $100
there's Lee
billion
Zeldin's definitely going
in
to
the
come and
United
talk
States
here. There's a chance we can buy
in the
cheap
next
yeses
very
when
short
Lee comes
period of
up and
time,
talks.
building new auto plants.
It's kind of my thought.
We're bringing our auto plants, assembly plants, and factories roaring back to life. Not even mentioning AI and all of the other things.
Wow,
We're building
AI.
thousands of businesses
Thank
in
the
the United
Lord I
States.
sold out of my AI
And
now.
if you remember,
Oh,
on my first day, they said if I could ever
Man.
get the Dow up to
Oh, here comes stock market.
50,000 in my last year, in other words, in the fourth year,
Is this stock
that
market?
it would be an unbelievable miracle. But don't worry about it because it'll never happen, they said. And if I could get the S&P up to 7,000, they
Or is
said
he going
in
to
the
just
fourth
say
year,
S&P?
they said it will never happen. Let's not even talk about it. I have things. Let's not even waste our time talking about it. Well, at the very end of my first year,
Is he going to dodge
the
it?
Dow hit 50,000. Now it's over 50,000. And 3 days before that, the S&P hit 7,000. So we didn't have to wait till the end of the fourth year. We just waited till the end of the first year. We've never had a country in a position like this, and a lot of it's due to tariffs.
Wow, he
And a lot
dodged
of
the
it's
stock
due to
market
the
there.
fact that we had a great election, and a lot of good things have been done. One of the good things I did was put Lee
Wow.
Zeldin in charge of our
I
environment.
couldn't even
So I'm
click.
gonna ask Lee to say a
Someone
few
clicked
words. Thank
faster
you
than
very
me.
much.
Okay, so
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a big
hottest
deal.
jumped
Under President
pretty
Trump's
high
leadership
up.
today, the Trump EPA has finalized the single largest act of deregulation in the history of the United States of America. Referred to by some as the holy grail of federal
Okay, so some of these could go pretty cheap as
Regulatory
this Lee guy
overreach.
talks. I think there's a good
2009
chance
Obama EPA endangerment
we will
finding
see
is now eliminated.
Q&A.
This action will save American
me pull
taxpayers
this
over
down.
$1.3
So I'm going to try to
trillion.
get some cheaper yes shares if
What
I
that means
can
is
for
lower
Q&A.
prices,
Like
more
how low is
choices,
Epstein going to get?
and an end of heavy-handed climate
Let's
policies.
see. I'm going to
With
put a bit
today's
up.
announcement, American families will
For
save
Epstein,
over $2,400
I'll take her
$2,400
some.
for a new vehicle. 16 years ago, an ideological crusade within the Obama administration
Maybe a bad
set
buy. I
off
just
the
think
most
there's a decent
costly
chance they could ask
regulatory
about
power
it.
grab our
I will
country
actually,
has ever
I'll
experienced.
take her a little bit of that.
The 2009
I'm almost
Obama
never on
EPA
yes,
endangerment finding led to
Epstein or
trillions
ICE, things like
of
that, but
dollars and regulations
I don't know.
that
10
strangled
cents
entire
could be some
sectors
Q&A
of the United
question on
States
it with
economy,
Pam Bondi
including the
lately.
American auto industry. It claimed new powers over the vehicles we drive, even though the best reading of the Clean Air Act clearly states otherwise. The Obama and
I actually
Biden administration
don't mind
used
stock
it to
market
steamroll
either.
into existence a left-wing wish list of
I could see
costly
it coming
climate
up again in
policies,
Q&A.
electric vehicle mandates, and other
But
requirements
is
that
16 too
assaulted
expensive?
consumer
I don't know.
choice and
I'll put a
affordability.
bit up.
And who paid the biggest price? Hardworking families, small businesses.
I just think if he
Millions
gets
of
dumb
Americans who just want a
questions,
reliable, affordable car
let me
to
turn
get
this
to
down a
work.
bit. But if he gets dumb
kids to
questions,
school or
you know what I mean? And they're asking him stuff like that, he'd be like, why are you asking me about this instead of the stock market? Look at the stock market. You know what I mean?
Finding and the
So
regulations that
I'm
will
buying some
prevent
yeses
interest
under the
rates
hope that this does get Q&A.
regulated and
And I think there's a
targeted
world he could
industry.
kind of say some of these things.
And now the endangerment finding is hereby
Don't know about nuclear, though.
as well as all greenhouse gas
Wow, nuclear was at
standards that follow
60-40. That's crazy.
The red tape has been cut. Manufacturers will no longer be burdened by measuring, compiling, or
I don't
reporting
love
greenhouse
hottest,
gas
but I think at
emissions
11
to
cents,
emissions.
similar
Forced
thought process. Like,
transition to electric vehicles
if this goes Q&A, I
will
think some of
eliminate-
these are going to be a little too cheap.
No longer will automakers be pressured to shift their fleets towards electric vehicles. Vehicles still sitting unsold on dealer
I don't
lots.
love affordable, but like if you get affordable in like
All
10,
across
15
America.
cents, it's not
And as a
terrible.
cherry on top,
But
we are ending the federal government's push to get manufacturers to install that Obama switch. The almost universally despised
Just kinda
start-stop
jumping.
feature. There will be no more climate participation trophies awarded to manufacturers for making Americans' cars die at every red light and stop sign. It's over. Done.
okay, Democrats kind of getting cheap.
Under President Trump's leadership,
If this is confirmed to go to Q&A, I'm going to take her a lot of Democrat
will
yes.
build what Americans want, not what politicians and bureaucrats in Washington demand. President Trump campaigned on reviving the auto industry, and he continues to deliver win after win after win, ending electric vehicle mandates, getting rid
Okay,
of
it seems like people
Cafe
don't think
standards
this
with
is going to
Secretary of
Q&A.
Transportation Sean Duffy, and securing massive new U.S. manufacturing investments and all the jobs that come with it. Affordable cars mean opportunity. That means jobs, healthcare, education, and mobility, especially for working families and rural Americans who rely on their vehicles every single day. And this isn't just about making the American economy boom. It's also about restoring the rule of law, a fundamental principle of our great republic. For years, unelected bureaucrats twisted the Clean Air Act into something it was never meant to be. The Obama administration twisted itself into some kind of mental pretzel to invoke authority it didn't have.
Policemen, these are not micro buffers. I'm fast forwarding the stream. The stream is actually running 10% faster than normal time. I promise you I'm not behind. I'm as fast as possible to be ahead. It's not pausing because of just random pauses. It's pausing because I'm fast forwarding it. So when it hits the point where it's too fast forwarded, it'll pause and then it stays fast forwarded. This is Roosevelt Room. This isn't East Wing. I think there's a good chance there's Q&A. I mean, he's skipped it here before, but I think there's a good chance he'll do it. There's a ton of extensions you can use, Mike. If you use like Google Chrome extensions. He has not said nuclear. I don't think he'll say nuclear, but I mean, if it goes to Q&A. Oh shit, this guy's talking Supreme Court.
President Trump immediately tasked on day one submitting requirements, recommendations, research on the legality and continued applicability of the 2009 endangerment finding. And at Trump's speed, he wanted that research and
What is my bid at here? 33?
Around instantly.
Okay, once this guy finishes talking, I gotta immediately pull my bids.
What the highest court in the land had said.
Because if he takes Q&A, I need to flip to yes.
Didn't authorize it.
If he doesn't take Q&A, I obviously need to buy no's, but I think he's going to take Q&As.
Congress never voted for these climate mandates inside of Section 202 of the Clean Air Act.
It's honestly a fair take, policeman. I don't think you're crazy to think that. That's the reason he skipped Q&A last time, but I don't think it's that hot that he'll skip questions, but let's see. I would love if he gets an Epstein question, it just crashes out.
And legal gymnastics used by the Obama and Biden administrations to backdoor their ideological agendas on the American people. Following the plain language of the law, we have now realigned EPA's rulemaking to reflect the Clean Air Act exactly as it is written and as Congress intended.
All right.
Not as others might wish it to be.
Okay, I got to be ready to pull right when this happens, right when this ends.
Please, a few fear-mongering climate alarmists.
This guy loves to say climate.
Decisions to benefit all Americans based on common sense and reality. And the American people are tired of paying the price of political gain.
See, I'm not really getting too many cheap fills.
That would listen to them. They told us that the price of a newer, safer vehicle was too high. They told us they didn't want cars that shut off at every red light. They told us dealers were sitting on lots filled with electric vehicles that nobody wanted or were buying. The Trump EPA listened.
Lee's talking pretty long.
And we acted. And today's action does not change regulations on traditional air pollutants and air toxics.
All right, how long is this guy going?
Committed to providing clean air for all Americans. Powering the great American comeback is based on the singular focus of providing clean air, land, and water for all Americans while harnessing the greatness of the American economy. That's a big difference from our predecessor. We believe that we can and must choose both. If you want an electric vehicle, buy one.
Probably not Bunchu, but we'll see, because this is the last Trump one of the day.
If you want a gas-powered vehicle or a hybrid,
I don't know how badly I want to watch Olympics.
That's what freedom and choice look like. We're restoring the rule of law. We're grounding policy in reality. We're giving power back to the American people. And we're bringing back the American.
Okay, this guy's about to wrap. I'm going to pull bids.
EPA will never waver on
All right, let's see.
of protecting human health.
He always looks tired,
This
man.
administration knows we can do that while ushering in the golden age of America.
The golden age.
The 2009 Obama EPA endangerment.
Damn, man.
all
So much
greenhouse
support
gas
came up for
emission
stock
standards
market,
on
yes.
light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles that followed is eliminated. American families now will save over $2,400 for a new vehicle. Today, the single largest act of deregulation in the
I know the purple tie is kind of rare
history
for
of the
Trump.
United States.
It's usually that red
For
tie.
$1.3
Is he trying to
trillion,
signify something?
The elimination of the endangerment finding is signed, sealed, and delivered.
All right, let's see Trump.
That was long. But good. It was good. Maybe I should say great. It was great. And we appreciate it. Would you have anything to say, Russ? Please.
Okay, now another person's talking. All right, cool.
Literally no other president
Who is this guy?
did this.
Literally no other president could have done this, by the way. Oh, let me turn it back up. Sorry.
We are today. Great work by Lee. I'm a little worried that this next year will be, EPA alone will be dereg east by the number of things that are going to come out of EPA. So great work to the team. $1.3 trillion in savings, massive historical opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Please.
Who's this other guy? Who is this guy? None of them want to come up. They're just like going to come up and just be like,
Today's a
Trump is the
historic
best.
day, led by President Trump's leadership.
Led by President
No
Trump.
other president, as Russ
Dude,
said,
these guys
would
come
have
up every time.
undertaken this.
It's a glorious day thanks to our true dictator,
At the
President
speed we
Trump,
did,
our
it was a great team
savior.
effort. This is the model of the Trump administration. Everyone working together, mission aligned.
Mission aligned.
And Lee is also working on cleaning up the horrible situation with regard to farm equipment.
Oh,
we
farmers?
Use John Deere as an example, and other companies, where tractors are
Tractors.
unbelievably expensive and don't work as well because of all of the environmental nonsense that was put on them. Also excavators, any equipment like that, bulldozers, Caterpillar tractor would be a beneficiary, I guess, but the people are going to be a beneficiary.
All right, let's
because
see.
The equipment's going to be a lot.
What are you doing, Trump? Are you
less
taking questions
expensive,
or
and
not?
It's going to also, most importantly, it's going to
Ton of people are pulling bids.
much better.
They're afraid.
So we're working on that immediately as we speak. We'll probably make it so that any of that equipment built in the United States will not have to go through this. If it's built outside, I think we'll probably leave the standard the same. If people are going to send us equipment, let them have that standard for whatever it's worth, which is not much. And I think that's a very big announcement too, and we're going to see if we can get that done very
Is he
quickly.
going to take
so that,
questions?
all of that equipment that we have made, including lawnmowers, et cetera, you won't have to go to the finest schools in the world in order to figure out how to operate it. Okay? So, any questions, please?
President Trump, thank you for this. And after this much supported move to roll back the former EPA's endangerment finding.
All right, they're taking questions. I did buy some Democrat yes.
Climate industry scams specifically, and Secretary Zeldin knows about these wind turbines they're trying to bring to New York. Judges allowing them to.
He's getting a wind question right off the bat.
Queens. They're
Too
being
bad.
called a national security threat for air traffic coming into the airport. What
How
do
did you think he was going to leave? He
Well, we're
always
trying
does
to make sure it
Q&A.
doesn't happen, and we've basically stopped all windmills in this country.
He hates
It's
wind,
the most
man.
expensive energy you
Don't
can
get him on wind.
They're all made in China, a little bit in Germany, but mostly
There's
in
China, man.
And
Oh,
we're
wait,
putting them
China
all
was
over
still
our
an
fields
open
and ruining the
strike?
fields and killing the birds.
Shit, I
and
should have
all
bought China.
of this, and the environmentalists say they like them, but they really are a tremendous eyesore. They ruined.
Eyesore.
Europe has gone, as you know, it's gone to, Europe isn't even recognizable anymore between immigration and because of, environmental things like the windmills, which are taking over.
Is he going
The
to
people hate them.
go climate
The
change
energy is
here?
by far the most expensive, and we're fighting very hard to make sure that they don't get built. I hope we don't have one built during my administration.
No windmills
We
under
inherited
Trump.
some contracts where
Let's go.
they've gone down the line a little bit. We're trying to terminate them for a lot of different reasons.
Make Trump louder,
One
you're
of the
saying?
reasons, as you had mentioned, it's endangerment for the military. It's also endangerment for airliners. So we're trying to take care of those situations now. They should have never been allowed in the first place. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much for taking
Sure.
questions.
All right, I'll turn up Trump.
Americans who are concerned that the $1.3 trillion in savings does come at a cost to public health and the environment based on
Yeah.
All right, Trump
I
is
tell
up.
them, don't worry about it, because it has nothing to do with public health. This was all a scam, a giant scam. This was a ripoff of the country by Obama and Biden. And let's say
The-
Obama started
say the
and he got it
Democrats.
rolling.
Why?
And a
Don't just say
terrible
Obama and
ripoff.
Biden. Say the
They'll have more
Democrats.
money to spend for health care, if you look at it. Now they can go out and spend it on something that's meaningful. And nobody's doing more for health care than the Republican Party. And that starts
Say
with the fact
Democrats.
that prescription drugs are going to be coming down at numbers that nobody's ever seen before. They're falling. You know, we were paying the highest prices in the world by far,
He's gonna
sometimes
go
by 10
favored
times more than
nations.
other countries. Now we're going to be paying whatever the lowest price is anywhere in the world. We're going to be paying that. It's called favored nations, most favored nations. And I think it's the biggest thing to happen in this world,
All right, I guess I'll
the
take.
world of medicine, prescription drugs.
We trimmed
ever.
down a
There's
bit
never
at
been
60.
anything like it. You know, if like in my third year, first term, I actually got prices down 1/4 or 1/8%, and I was so proud of myself because they were like that for years and years. And since under Biden, they went up very, very substantially. And now they're coming
gotta
down
say
by, depending
Democrat
on, you
here.
could say 500, 600, 700%, depending on the way you want to, or you could say 80%. It doesn't matter. They're coming down by numbers that nobody ever thought possible. I got it all done, and I got it all approved, and all of the countries all over the world are going to pay more. They've agreed to pay more because of tariffs. I said, if you don't do it, we're going to have to tariff you, and they've all agreed to do it. Otherwise, they would have never done it. That was why no president has ever been able to get it done. Please.
Yeah, Mr. President, you took more than 600 deregulatory actions in your first year here. Coming from the business world, you know how unnecessary red tape can hinder business expansion, investment expansion. Given
He's got to get some Epstein
past
and
year, that
Minnesota
regulatory
questions.
action you took in your first year, how much economic growth
Let's see.
can we expect to see as your term progresses?
It's a great question. I think that it'll be enormous. Who knows really what the number is, but I can tell you, in terms of economic growth, we have $18 trillion being invested in this country right now,
Man.
the most ever of any country by far.
I really feel like
Not
stock
even
market's
close.
coming.
Think of it, no matter where, not just here.
Oh, you can see it
$18
kinda
trillion is coming
went
in, and that
pretty
money is
high
being
on this
spent right
question,
now as
dude.
we
It's
speak
surging.
in new plants and equipments. And you may have heard Lee mentioned, I mentioned also, that over $100 billion is going to be spent in this very short period of time just by foreign auto companies on building auto plants in the United States. Some of the greatest thing that ever happened to the United Auto Workers. You know, the head man has not been nice to me, but now I understand he's saying this is the greatest auto president in history. But the auto workers gave me their vote, and they knew what I was doing, and they know what needed to be done. The tariffs saved them, but this is now taking it to a level that I think, Lee, that nobody ever thought even possible. They thought this was, nobody would have the courage to do it. We have to have the courage to do it because we're making America great again. This is a big factor in making our country great. If you look at some of these cars, they didn't even work. They had
The
computers
cars
all over
didn't
the
even
place trying to
work
save
under
a
the
half an ounce
Democrat.
of fuel. We have fuel for the next
He hasn't said
500 to
nuclear, but I know
1,000
it's
years
at
under our
90.
feet. And they're trying like hell to save a half an ounce of fuel. The whole thing is just crazy. Please, go ahead, please.
Mr. President, is climate cooperation with China no longer in America's interest? And could you please confirm that you are going to visit China the first week of April?
Yeah, I'll be
What would you
visiting
like to-
President Xi in April. Look forward to it. He's coming here later in the year. And I look very much forward to it. No, our relationship with China is very good right now.
Trump
And
visit
this is, you know,
President
not
Xi.
relevant too much having to do with China, what we're announcing today. But no, my relationship with President Xi is very good. Yes.
Mr. President, following your meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday, has your thinking changed at all as it relates to these negotiations with Iran?
No, we have
or
to
the
make a deal.
timeline with Iran?
We have to make a deal, otherwise it's going to be very traumatic. Very traumatic. I don't want that to happen, but we have to make a
Ooh.
deal. They should have made a deal the first time, and they got Midnight Hammer instead.
Oh, this
And
might
this
be
will be
nuclear
very
right here, by the way.
Traumatic for Iran if they don't make a deal. Look, if they don't make a deal, then it'll be a different story. But we had a very good meeting yesterday with Bibi Netanyahu, and he understands, but it's ultimately up to me. If the deal isn't a
Pretty
very
sure
fair
Trump
deal
just
and a
said
very
that
good deal
Xi
with
would be
Iran,
visiting
then
the White
it's
House.
going to be, I think, a very difficult time for them in the back. I guess over the next month, something like that. Yeah, shouldn't take. I mean, it should happen quickly. They should agree very quickly. Yeah.
Mr. President, we might be heading into a partial government shutdown.
Okay,
When
here we
was the
go.
last time you spoke with Chuck Schumer, and do you still feel Democrats are negotiating in good faith?
Well, a
no.
week ago I spoke, but we have to protect our law enforcement.
This has to be Democrat.
Actually, the Supreme Court gave a
Supreme
ruling on-
Court.
One of the courts
Shit.
gave a very big ruling on
Is he
masks.
gonna
that you have the
dodge
right
not even
to use
saying
them,
Democrat
for
here?
personal protection if you want. So I don't know how that interjects. They want our
Is he really going to dodge Democrat here?
law enforcement
when he's
to
asked
be
about shutdown?
totally vulnerable and put them in a lot of danger. They have some things that are really very hard to, very, very hard to approve, frankly. As you know, it's only pretend. We had various of the other bills. That's all done, but we're left with this one. We have to protect our law enforcement. Very important. Please.
Wow. How does he not say Democrat there on top of shutdown? Crazy. And then he doesn't say ICE when talking about law enforcement.
He is. You're saying
And
stop
then we get
entertaining,
rinsed on Supreme
stop
Court?
talking
No.
to them. Didn't say that. We didn't discuss that.
Crazy.
I'll talk to them as long as I like, and we'll see if we can get a deal with them. And if we can't, we'll have to go to phase 2. Phase 2 will be
Say
very tough
Democrats,
for
man.
them. I'm not looking for that.
This is
There are
such a
currently
weave.
0 Israeli hostages left in Gaza because of
Holy.
you.
Thank
you for that.
Thank you.
And now that the war is ending in Gaza and Israel, I want to ask, do you believe Bibi bears any responsibility for the security failures that we saw on October 7th?
Well, October 7th was a rough time, and I guess everybody's responsible. It's yet to look, but it was a terrible attack. It was a sneak attack. It was as violent as unfortunately, I've seen
Weird to
some
ask
of the
these-
results
get
at
these
levels that
Israel
probably even you,
questions.
good reporter, but probably you haven't seen it. It was a horrible thing that
I mean, I
took
get
place.
that Bibi was just here yesterday, but
People was surprised. It
interesting.
was a surprise attack. Nobody saw that coming. He didn't see it coming. Nobody else would have seen it coming if they were in his position, I don't believe. But I can tell you he's been a very good wartime prime minister. He's been very strong. We've worked with him very well. We had tremendous success with Iran and everything else we've done. And he really has been. He's been, extraordinary as far as a wartime prime minister.
how
Not
close
easy.
is he to wrapping up? Let's
And,
see.
you have a president that refuses to give him a pardon. I think that man should be ashamed of himself. A pardon over this trial that's going on. The president of Israel, the primary power
Trump
he's got
really
is the power
does
to give
seem
pardons.
tired.
And he's not, he said he's given it 5 different times, but he doesn't want to do it because I guess he loses his power. I think the people of Israel should really shame him. He's disgraceful for not giving it. He should give it. But Bibi's been a great wartime prime minister, and I've been the best friend to Israel I think that they've ever had. People say beyond precedents that they've ever had, and we will continue to be. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, voter ID polls very
Voter
well
ID
nationally.
question.
Even the majority of Democrat voters want it.
Right.
So
Democrat,
why do you think Senate
come on.
Democrats are
Come
resisting
on.
the SAVE Act? And what is your strategy and realistic pathway
you
to
really
getting
not gonna
the
say
SAVE Act
Democrat here?
passed
Like,
to
this
ensure
is
free and
gonna
fair
make me
elections for the next
infuriated.
generation?
It's such a great question. I appreciate it, actually, because it's called the Save America Act. We've changed the name.
Is he really going to weave it
It's
here?
the Save
Yes.
America Act.
Thank you, Trump.
And the Democrats are against it.
Gosh, how
I
did
heard
that
one of
take
them say,
so
we will
long,
stop
man?
the Save America
This
Act.
was just
No, we're trying to save
stressing me
America.
out.
And it has to do with largely voting.
what a
And
crazy
basically it's got
Supreme Court
3
hit,
very
by the
simple
way.
points. It's got voter ID, photo ID, but voter ID with a photo, right? It's got
All right, we get some money
the
back
confirmation
now
of
with Democrat.
U.S.
Otherwise, we're gonna get
citizenship. You have to be a
rinsed.
citizen. So you have a vote, you have an ID. That's about a 99% one.
I honestly feel pretty good about stock market now.
And I
in
think
the 70s.
90% with Democrats. Then you have
so I'll see if I get
confirmation
filled.
U.S. citizenship. That's about a 99% one with Republicans, about 86% with Democrats, except Democrat politicians because they cheat on
Yeah,
elections.
now he says Democrat like 100 times.
And then you have no mail-in ballots. And it would be no mail-in ballots.
Okay, I'm
very
still
important.
getting
You know,
filled
we're the
pretty
only
fast on,
country in the world that does a system like we
stock market
do.
now.
We're the
Hopefully
only
he doesn't
country in the world
throw it in at the end.
that has mail-in ballots. The way we do this is unbelievable. It guarantees cheating. So it's no mail-in ballots with the exception of disability, illness, military, or if you're traveling, you can get an exemption. You know, if you happen to be out of the country for a good reason, you can have an exemption. So with exceptions, it's no mail-in ballots, and that will assure
Can
the
someone
security of
please
our
ask about Epstein? I mean, come on.
crooked elections. We have crooked elections, yeah.
Mr. President, have you fired or disciplined that staffer who posted the video from your account that included the Obamas?
No, I haven't. That was a video on, as you know, voter fraud. And fairly long video, and they had a little piece and had to do with the Lion King. It's been very well it's been shown all over the place long before that was posted. But that was a
What is he gonna call this?
very strong, and I'm sure you saw it, a very strong piece on voter fraud, and the piece that you're talking about was all over the place many times,
How is he
I believe,
gonna
for
answer
years.
this?
Yeah, please.
Mr. President, were you aware that Secretary of Commerce visited Epstein's island? And do you
Yeah,
think that-
Epstein
No, I
question.
wasn't aware of it. No, I didn't. I actually haven't spoken to him about it. I wasn't. But from what I hear, he was there with his wife and children. And I guess in some cases, some people were. I wasn't. I was never there.
Come on.
Somebody will someday say that. I was never there. Yeah, please.
This announcement that you made today, Mr. President, comes on the heels.
Oh, he dodged Epstein.
Yeah.
No.
Smashed all records.
In the big feature.
Oh shoot, a record question? Is he gonna say stock market here?
Bloated with federal employment under
How did he dodge? I still think it was a good buy. Well, people are filling me at 9 cents, so look at that. We paid $13 to have an
Thank you.
option
The,
for him to say it.
The jobs report's
Oh
amazing
shit. Jobs report. Here comes stock market.
in certain ways because
Ah, shit,
we
I'm
have
screwed.
tremendously fewer federal employees,
I'm
way
screwed.
down. Now, I could have left them and added to what we did, and we would have had almost 100% employment. I could have gotten a great kick out of the fact that we're 100%
got
employed.
some out.
But we got rid of tremendous numbers of federal workers, and they
I'm not gonna
hated
dump
me for it. Now they
anymore.
love me because most of them have gotten jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times more money than they were being paid by the federal government. We had some jobs where you had 10 workers for one job, 10 workers for a job that one person should be doing. And we've gotten rid of a lot of those jobs. And by getting rid of them, these people became available to work in the private sector. And as
Got
you know,
out
the
of
numbers
some
are incredible.
ice.
So
Ah,
the
shit.
job numbers are incredible. The financial numbers are
Oh god, he's gonna
beyond
say
belief.
stock right here.
Again, they thought it
Shit.
couldn't be done in 4 years, and I did it in 1 year. And the numbers you're going to see is these, I don't know if you notice also construction numbers, the jobs for construction workers. You know why? Because they're building plants all over
Can
the
you
United
please
States.
dodge
That's
this,
why.
Trump? Can you
And when
please
these plants
dodge?
open in a year
Can
from
you
now,
please just
some
not
sooner, some a
say-
little bit later, but when these auto plants, AI plants, and thousands of other types of plants, when they open over the
I
next
can't believe he
period of
dodged
a year,
Epstein,
year and a
man.
half,
Crazy.
you're
Because
going
he'll
to see numbers
say
like we've
Epstein
never
by
seen
name.
before in this country. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
All right, we
President.
survived on stock market. Did I come out alive? Okay, look, I will take it on. Oh my gosh, the Epstein would have been so nice though. All right, I guess we made like $60, whatever. Dude, the Supreme Court hit was so crazy, man. Come on. What was that Supreme Court hit? Guy really said Supreme Court before he said Democrats when he was asked about shutdown. Whatever. I mean, at least we didn't lose money. This just was really stupid. Yeah, at least stock market no held. I cannot believe he couldn't just say Epstein. The fact that he got an Epstein question means fair value should have been at least like 30 or 40. You had Supreme Court, China, and Democrat yes, John? Dude, good play. Damn. You were my counterparty on Supreme Court. All right. Well, can't complain. I just wish if we had held on Supreme Court and gotten the Epstein mention, this would have been legendary. Oh, you flipped all the no late? Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I guess we were counterparties on Democrat then, because I was on. Look. Are Trump markets the mention markets you put the most work into? Which are your favorites? Yeah, Trump is probably my favorite. Just because Trump is the easiest for me. And probably my highest ROI on all mentions, just because I watch every single one of Trump's speeches. And I've done that for like a year plus. So, you know, I'm very used to Trump mentions. And I don't really have to put in that much research for each Trump speech, because it's just, you know. How did I choose no on Supreme Court? It was purely price dependent. I mean, it lost, obviously, but like I didn't think it was 50-50 Supreme Court would come up here. So I would make the same play every time. Like I would do that again. It kind of hit here on a fluke, right? You're never going to go 100% on all of these. It's just about identifying mispriced odds that you think, you know, compared to your own like mental fair value. But for me with Trump, it's not like I'm like super quantitative and like building a fair value, because you kind of can't be. But you just, for me, I build up a lot of intuition watching every single one of Trump's speeches, you know, so it's just easy for me to like come up with a kind of fair value. And Trump's speeches attract a lot of like people that are maybe not as sophisticated or used to Trump speeches. When he starts rambling, who knows what he's going to say? Yeah, true. But I mean, that's the whole reason why like we bought really cheap Yes shares after his prepared remarks, because I thought Q&A, he could kind of ramble on a ton of things. You've watched a lot of Powell speeches. I should look at those. Yeah, Powell, I would actually, unless you're like very knowledgeable on economics, I would not advise being like intuition based on Powell. Powell is very careful with his words, so it's more of like a heavy like historical research kind of thing. But I like Powell. I mean, I loved Powell last time. Powell got crazy mispriced. Earnings calls, again, are less intuition based. Earnings calls are a lot of like a transcript heavy exercise, but then you want to consider like certain intuition factors that could impact, you know, what they're going to say in an earnings call. Yeah. But I love Trump, and I love the NFL announcer mentions. I've made kind of a killing on those. My best ever mention was the Super Bowl. What will the announcers say during the pro? What do they say? Big game? Is that what they captioned it? What will commentators say during the big game? Wait, what is this? Was this last year's? Will I trade earnings today? Probably. Up to you, Jackson, whichever you prefer. I mean, mine's going to have the White House stream. What do I study for earnings calls? I would look at previous earnings calls. Like if you don't put in a ton of research on these, like you're probably going to be like the fish, obviously. So you definitely want to put in a lot of research. Yeah, I do, Mike. That's what everybody does. But it you know, it obviously takes a lot of time. I'll probably look at some of the earnings calls today, but again, I'm lazy, and like earnings calls take time because I have to research them. So sometimes I just skip them because I'm lazy because of that reason, you know, because I know like looking at earnings calls will take me at least like half hour to an hour. But I have found some like crazy stupid edges on earnings that kind of means I should start looking at them again. Yeah, Roku and Coinbase should be exciting. Coinbase should definitely be exciting. For Trump speeches, Brian, I think there's definitely a lot of rec flow. For Trump speeches and for NFL announcer mention markets, which are no longer a thing, there's like a crazy amount of rec flow. I mean, obviously the Super Bowl was crazy. Like, let me see if I can find the Super Bowl. Like, dude, the Super Bowl, this is my best ever mention. Made like 9K. This was like so mispriced. What a catch, which is like typically like, you know, recreational people's favorite word to take yes. Got all the way to like 55 for yes, which is crazy. Like it's not anywhere near that high. I actually think that's pretty reasonable, Chicken Joe. Like it is kind of hard to find edges in earnings calls. FFD, yeah, I mean, I think naturally as prediction markets get more efficient, they're going to get harder. I mean, right now it's really hard to be profitable in prediction markets for like most people, right? Like most people are probably not going to be profitable, right? Because it's zero sum. So I think it will get harder and harder. But I mean, I definitely do think in their current state, like they're not that hard, and it's pretty. But I say that as someone who's used them for like 2 years, obviously. So like someone who's new, it's definitely going to be an adjustment, all that stuff. A lot of expensive, yes. Yeah. that's usually the case. Like, often taking no and being a maker is a lot of the times better, because usually like rec flow is going to be coming on yes shares, right? Because like it's just like in sports, like a recreational person doesn't want to take the under on a prop, they want to take the over. So sometimes providing liquidity on the other side, usually you're getting a better edge probably, or in a lot of cases. I mean, obviously it's not like that binary that it's always yes or no. Yeah, Trump definitely did appear a little more subdued today. I would agree, Francis. He was kind of tired. I mean, you can just tell the Q&A was pretty short, and even during his Q&A, he was like pretty like relaxed. So I would agree. Let's see what else we got today. So there's some Olympic announcer mentions. Those could be cool. Roku, Coinbase, and then Bernie, Rally. I'll check some of these out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, cafe hitting was not wild in my opinion. I thought that should have been. I thought like I almost was on yes for cafe, but I mean, if you know, like he reversed the cafe standards a couple months ago, and it's very in line with the EPA stuff. So I expected him to say cafe, but again, I wasn't on yes. I should have been. I was thinking about it a lot before this. How do you decide on what strike to study when doing earnings? You know, you just got to study. You got to look at historicals. Look at the strikes that are offered, you know? I mean, you can kind of probably figure it out, right? Like what you're going to look at. You're going to look at how often are they saying things in the past, things like that, you know? Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We are going to call it here. We will be back, as always. Take care.